Learning Kung Fu is about perfecting meditation.
Discovering the inner self, that's the ultimate objective.
I chose Shaolin Kung Fu because my most important purpose was to experience the Shaolin essence.
It's said that Kung Fu started in Shaolin. Shaolin Kung Fu is fierce and practical, but it's also broad and meticulous. Apart from being renowned, it teaches the virtues of combat and a basis for Buddhism. And this makes it a very important part of Chinese Kung Fu.
What people see nowadays in films is very different from actual Shaolin Kung Fu. The reason for this is because filming requires a lot of exaggerated movements, which look much better on the big screen. In order for people to have a better idea, we allow them inside the temple to promote the long-lost Shaolin culture.
Shaolin Kung Fu can be traced back to sometime between the North Wei and the North Zhao period. Amid chaos, many generals who were expert fighters took refuge in the Shaolin Temple and turned to Buddha.
The Shaolin Kung Fu that most people know comes mainly from movies and other media. This also includes those Kung Fu exhibitions that take place in different countries and cities around the world. It's different from the reality. What is known is that mankind doesn't have the capacity or the knowledge to be able to understand the Shaolin Temple in its entirety.
Each Kung Fu style is exchanged within the temple, down through the generations, resulting in the unique Shaolin Kung Fu.
Shaolin Kung Fu started when monks had to protect themselves. Through the strengthening of their bodies, the monks devised many different styles and techniques of Kung Fu.
Kung Fu existed before founder Master Mo, but with him were formed the principles of Zen. So meditation and combat were the same thing.
So Shaolin Kung Fu isn't only about fists, but about virtues, about soul, about spirit, meditation, and other intrinsic qualities. These are the most important.
What the secular pupils practice is really quite different from the disciples of the Shaolin Temple. They generally practice superficial Kung Fu. That's because Shaolin Kung Fu is a lot more complicated and diverse, don't you think? They focus on outer practice. Our inner practice combines meditation and fists, but what we generally see practiced is extrinsic Kung Fu. They don't indulge in Buddhism.
In Shaolin Kung Fu, it's crucial to start with basics, erect posture. Posture is made up of many different styles and techniques.
When applying the Shaolin fist, it's got to be straight, but not too straight. Bent, but not too bent. If your arm is too straight, it will slow down the speed of your retraction. And if it's too bent, it won't cover the distance. So the moment the fist is extended is very, very crucial. Turning like a screw.
For the eyes, hands, arms, waist, legs, feet, balance, breathing, directing one's strength. Even exhalation has strict requirements. Arms bent, but not too bent, nor too straight. Rolling around, flexible movements.
Any kick or punch you throw will affect both of the shoulders. Be it the right or the left leg, the shoulder will always move first. This reveals your weakness. Shaolin Kung Fu is necessary and practical because there's nothing fancy about it. There was a senior monk named Fu Ju who invited all the martial artists to the Shaolin Temple. Over the course of 3 years, he studied the strengths and the weaknesses of all the masters. He wrote many fist manuals through the practices of generations of monks and blending of different styles, resulting in Shaolin Kung Fu. It has many different varieties.
Shaolin martial arts can be divided into 2 different categories. One is called internal skill, the other external. Internal skill is Qigong and cultivating health. Cultivating health is breath control, exercising the diaphragm.
The basic difference is between the interior and the exterior fist. What most people see is the little hung fist. Historically, it's the style of fist that all of the monks at the Shaolin Temple have had to practice over the years. And so this is the reason why it's a very common fist, and lots of people know about it.
Exterior fist is powerful and very rapid. Amongst the Shaolin fists, Little Hung is mandatory for beginners. It's the mother of the 18 fist. Little Hung shows vital parts of the Shaolin fist. From start to finish, it follows a single line. During training, one's gaze must resemble lightning, following the hands with total concentration.
During the routine, from beginning to end, the first movement to the last, you move in a straight line and your body resumes its posture. It's a definite outline. Like this. The fist is straight, but not too straight, nor too bent. Finally, when using the fist in attacking, only one arm is extended. The other one is always there protecting.
Hat fist is a fine example of the early Shaolin fist. According to the manuals, monk Fu Jiu of the Sung dynasty invented it based on his combat experiences. It's used in both defense and attack.
The essence of the hat is the extremely distinct exercise of power in it. A series of movements following a rhythm and speed. Unlike the hung fist, where each movement is separate, the hat fist is much quicker in comparison, more effective with a chain of interrelated movements. Therefore, it's different from the little hung fist. Another crucial feature is that it also requires the monk to achieve the expression and postures. That is to say, the hat you're practicing, whether happy or sad, must start with the appearance. Drunken boxing must have a drunken expression. Hat exhibits a joyful appearance.
Cannon fist has a series of short steps. The lying lion as dual defense, precise feint technique, and the fists have to be soft and hard.
The movements are forceful. When in action, it's as powerful as a tiger, but when standing still, it's as steady as the mountains are. But it's very powerful nevertheless. It's an extremely effective technique. The unique part of cannon fist is being hard, not soft, true, strong, and firm. Accuracy and immense power are typical of the explosive force and strength of the Shaolin fist boxing.
Shaolin weaponry complements perfectly traditional styles, and it's a result of mutual exchange. A monk called Fu Jiu invited 18 martial artist masters to stay at the temple. Thereafter, a unique style emerged, and soon, Shaolin weaponry was firmly established.
The principal and most famous weapon is the pole. The pole is also the least lethal among all the weapons. Buddhism advocates kindness and forgiving. A person should act morally and not take others' lives. Upholding this philosophy, the Shaolin Temple has regarded the pole as the epitome of their weaponry for many years now.
Amongst Shaolin weapons, there are many knives. There's the blossom knife, Shaolin dagger, and so on. As for the pole, there's cloud movement and the monkey pole. There are also rare weapons. The Tatmo staff, 9-sectioned whip, and the iron fan. But without skill, a person gains nothing. Shaolin Kung Fu's skilled fist boxing and variety attack, as well as weaponry. Internal skill is Qigong and health skill. Qigong is posturing, the light and hard Qigong, and cultivating health includes the well-known 8-sectioned brocade. The 8-sectioned brocade comes from the first 2 volumes of Master Dat Mo, Relaxation of Tendon and Marrow Cleansing. The first trains one's collateral channels, the second helps dispose of the body's toxins, thus accelerating metabolism both inside and out. These days, Fire Kung Fu, Iron Sand Palm, Iron Head, and One Finger Fist are some names that most are familiar with. Formerly, according to Shaolin boxing texts, the Shaolin Temple has 36 hard skills and 36 supple skills secretly shared within the monastery without any written records.
The 72 arts of the Shaolin Temple must be practiced by monks of all generations. Of course, not every single monk has to practice the complete 72 arts, but from amongst the 72, the monks have to choose the ones that are most appropriate for themselves. The main reason to have these tests is if they don't have the mindset to practice this Kung Fu and attain a certain level of thought, then there's just no point in them practicing.
Shaolin's 72 arts bring out the potential in everyone. Utilizing the unique knowledge and Zen determination, one practices Kung Fu beyond expectations.
For years, the Shaolin Temple has adopted a lot of styles, but many are lost or incomplete. We can only try to analyze and preserve the present ones. If the styles don't undergo creation or development, then only the original will remain. Although much progress in this regard isn't likely, our Shaolin Temple will gradually develop more.
Buddhism teaches us to turn the other cheek. When someone hits you or even tries to kill you, I'll endure all I can to disregard it, because Shaolin Buddhism teaches all its followers to be kind, to be forgiving, to practice virtue, and most importantly, to punish evil and commemorate good.
Our main aim in practicing is for meditation. The aim isn't for competition, you know? The true purpose is to achieve self-contentment. Worshipping Buddha by meditation is our ultimate goal. We must remain completely calm in the face of any events, facing a myriad of matters with this composed attitude. And we must have no malicious thoughts.
When Master Dat Mo arrived at Shaolin, spreading Buddhism and the theory of Zen, he merged martial arts with meditation. Besides martial arts, the aim is refining one's ethics. Shaolin Kung Fu incorporates both, and in a broader sense. Today, Shaolin disciples are found across the globe.
It releases fully your strength and also your vigor. That's important.
It combines power and gentleness.
Hong Fist is prominent among the 13 forms. Some people say the Hong Fist started here in Shaolin. Towards the end of the Ming Dynasty, it was introduced to Chinese Guangdong. And others say Hong Si Guan created this technique. It seems both theories are largely connected to Shaolin.
Hong Fist was developed a long time ago by a man called Hong Si Guan, who was one of the disciples of Shaolin abbot Zixin. All of this took place during a period when Hong hid in the Shaolin temple in order to escape from the Qing regime.
全少林寺已在我们控制之下，洪熙官，你还想逃吗？我们逃不了了，你的武功比我好，你带着他们走吧，师弟。
There were others that somehow managed to escape the Qing government. These individuals survived by hiding in traveling opera troupes. Hong Fist is said to have been conceived and developed during the period that they were in these opera troupes.
我们来到了广东，就以这红船为联络，分布在其他的红船。记住，但无论如何，我们要尽一切的力量反抗暴政。对。
Hong Fist style has a wide stance, broad steps, and extended movements. And it has close range. These techniques are for attack and defense. It's both hard and soft. An absolute skill.
Hong Fist is a comprehensive school, and there are no limitations regarding age and sex. Its training is extremely flexible, and it's coordinated with a great deal of practice. If a student is comparatively weak, his training would be augmented in order to complement his form and technique. This method of training ensures that a student reaches his potential.
So what exactly is the challenge of learning the Hong Fist? I mean, with it being so powerful and everything. While one's physical condition varies, the training must be synchronized. It definitely incorporates power and gentleness and total accord.
To begin with, Hong Fist emphasizes a very firm stance.
The basic and most important is the four-level stance, the Zieten and unicorn and leaning stance.
A student has to be familiar with 12 moving stances, establishing a foothold before training for agility.
Well, apart from power, the real objective is breathing from the diaphragm and focusing on really working out the forearms to build up strength. Punches should be straight and direct, and the arms placed low, meaning the elbows should always be low and close to the body. And the wrists are placed at the level of the shoulders. The arms are then in the correct position for the Hong Fist.
12 bridge hand methods are in fact personal insights, teaching when to choose between hardness as well as suppleness. It's more a matter of delving into practicality.
12 bridge hand moves are really essential to Hong Fist, combining power with precision.
And so, 12 bridge forms the basics. They're used with the 12 parrying concepts. Hand skills and footwork. Mind and soul as one. Then you can practice many different forms and weapons and be versatile in varying techniques. Many movements have been adopted from wild animals. They emphasize internal strength. Hong Fist consolidates many forms and movements, changing incessantly and using surprise. Students use various forms to acquire the essence of Hong Fist.
Its unique features are its spectacular movements and agile techniques, besides enabling someone a lot of freedom during practice. Even as a beginner, when a person begins to train, they can gradually use their power to the fullest because everything is designed to bring out the potential of the individual student.
Conquering the tiger form is said to have evolved from the 18-Ahet fist by Hong Si-guan. With steps along the character Gong, it requires tremendous power to run through the shoulders and back. Appearing majestically imposing, it's also highly aggressive. Soft bridge hand block. Cross stance. Exhale. And inner energy. It's a sort of base for learning the other Hong styles.
The character Gong shows its structure, starting at one point, then following a straight line, across on the same side. Then turn and move to the opposite side. Attack as you're moving across, and then you have to repeat the movements all over again. Finally returning to the starting point, and it's complete. The entire movement follows the strokes of the character Gong. A lot of people who have practiced conquering the tiger don't do it. Perhaps it just seems too boring, or not agile enough for some people. More people prefer to practice Tiger Crane double form set.
It's believed that Hong Si-guan developed the Tiger Crane double form set when he sparred with Yan Wing Chun. It was based on the tiger's prowess and the crane's agility. When these two are combined, it's practically invincible. Its characteristic is Hong Fist's bridge hand, footwork, and its varying body techniques. Augmented by the Tiger Fist and the agile Crane Fist. It's by far one of the most versatile forms of Hong Fist. This pattern uses the dragon, crane, snake, tiger, and jaguar to make the 5-form set. Dragon form trains the spirit, tiger the body, jaguar the jab, snake the chi, and crane the form. The 5-form set pattern in Hong style is optimal for practical application. The Iron Wire Fist was developed by Hong Si-guan from the secret Shaolin Fist of inner power. Its form is wide with exaggerated movements.
When practicing this form, it should be coordinated with breathing exercises and vocal intonations, which should really reflect the key moods of the fighter during the period that they're practicing the iron wire fist.
And so, correctly using breath to propel power and coordinating it with the 12 bridge hands concepts and parrying techniques, thereby blends together power and gentleness to extend and circulate internal energy.
The fifth brother 8-diagram pole emphasizes drag, bolt, circle, and point. Okay, I'll show you. Drag. There. There. Okay. Stir. Pinch.
The edge and back of these swords are mostly used. That's because the South had added a sharp fork handle to them, which commanded extra care when handling. When you're spinning them, it's easy to hit your head, so good judgment and spatial awareness is vital. If a person wants to use these swords, this is very important. Its usage must be meticulously coordinated with the hips and a good stance. If the foundation is not good, it's hard for one to excel at these swords. But if one wants to be the very best, the hips and the stance have to be in harmony.
Conquering the tiger shows power. The tiger crane, duality. Iron wire, inner strength. In use, they work together. They're called the three treasures. And in this regard, one ought to remember the Hong Fist's great master, Wang Fei Hong. Originally known as Wang Sekchang, he was born in July in the 27th year of Do Gong. From the age of 6, his father taught him the art of Kung Fu. Since his family was poor, he often accompanied his father to town in order to help him sell medicine. While performing, Wang Fei Hong met one of the students of Master T. Kyo Sam, Leung Fuk Sing, and learned Iron Wire Fist. Somehow, Wang Fei Hong was destined to master the Hong Fist and become a legend.
Though unfortunately, we don't really have much information on Wang Fei Hong. The more reliable information that we have available is from the book by Chuju Jia, which is called The Fighter from Lingnan. A few chapters in this book contain information about Wang Fei Hong. This book is the reason the legendary Wong became so popular in Chinese culture. Popular culture also started to include material on martial arts legends.
There's a picture of Wong Fei Hung in Fusan, which is said to be how Wong really appeared, but it's not accurate. The picture was taken by Wong's 10th son, Wong Honghe, when he was quite young. After the burning down of Wu Chi Lam, Wong became very unhappy and fell quite ill. Sadly, he never really recovered. He was sick for a while. After coming to Hong Kong, he returned to Guangzhou, and there, he passed away at the Feng Bian Hospital. Facing and chasing the opponent is the main key to Wing Chun Kune.
You divert the opponent's force to the other side. And it can kill with one blow.
Sifu Ip Man once said that Bruce Lee was extremely diligent.
Actually, there are many varying views about Wing Chun Kune, as well as its name.
Previously, Wing Chun Kune was not that well known. Even I didn't want to learn it.
It's said Wing Chun Kune was created by Shaolin's abbess, Ng Moi, while watching the snake and crane fight. Her star pupil, Yim Wing Chun, passed it on to her husband, Leung. He, in turn, to commemorate his wife, officially established the style of Wing Chun Kune. Wing Chun Kune's essence is in close-range techniques. The stance and moves are firm yet agile. Close strikes follow the opponent, emphasizing technical dexterity, focusing on using the right force to deflect, redirecting force away. Direct force is never used against an opponent.
Wing Chun Kune differs quite considerably from the other styles. Most martial arts styles have the fists placed at the hip. They only come up when you're striking the face. But with Wing Chun Kune, the hands and the feet defend together.
It really places emphasis on diverting the strikes and retaliating at the precise moment. Since its punches are close range, direct punches are of course the most effective. This brings out the best of Wing Chun Kune.
Xiao Lum Tao uses basic Wing Chun Kune. Masters of Wing Chun Kune begin by telling pupils the following. Success is impossible without the fundamentals. This also applies to everyday life. Xiao Lim Tao moves are neat and efficient. Extending, blocking, pushing form the three essential features. The right breathing is crucial. Apart from practicing stance, body posture, and also the hand techniques, the other vital component is to divert the opponent's strikes with your force, thereby using it against him.
Its characteristic is to work towards the center line, so it begins with the hand in the middle position to ascertain the opponent's middle line of attack. Open hand, block, and strike. These are the three main essential elements, and they're to be used with different defense techniques. According to some, it's based on spring dynamics.
Chum Kyu is the set of intermediate movements. By definition, it means locating the opponent's strikes. Simultaneous attack and defense form the major part of all of the moves. Making up Chum Kyu, you have turning stance, Siu Lim Tao blocks, and step blocking techniques. Now, foot skills are introduced for the first time. This includes front technique, side technique, and angular footwork. Using these together, the effect is a sustained attack at close range, making retaliation difficult.
The real essence of Chum Kyu is mainly to change one's direction, turning one's stance in order to control the opponent.
With Chum Kyu, the two-way turning stance constantly places weight on the rear foot in all positions. This facilitates a kick.
Biuzi is a technique that is not casually taught to every student. Biuzi is Wing Chun Kun's advanced pattern, and almost every part of it comprises striking. This covers close, mid, and long-range attacks. Its aim being agility and also releasing power. It may look gentle, but the power is fierce and explosive.
To give an example, I can use my hand. If I put my hand in such a way, and I block like this, then I can defend this whole area, from the waist up to the face, thus blocking the attack and retaliating with striking techniques. After you block, just strike out.
Rolling deftly, with direct strikes, is the aim of Wing Chun Kun. To teach this mantra, Wing Chun Kun uses the sticking hands technique, honing the reflexes of hands.
Sticking hands achieves 4 crucial objectives. The first is to refine and improve hand skills, then train a sense of perception and natural reflexes. Knowing when to exert a person's strength, using it only when necessary, or you hold back, or putting power in only one hand. Finally, the importance of good positioning. I mean a good strategic position that enables you to attack and defend all at the same time. So these 4 goals may appear distinct when I say them out loud, but actually they're to be utilized together.
Using mind force to land direct punches is the philosophy of Wing Chun Kun. And sticking hands is Wing Chun Kun's unique training technique. This mainly forges and trains the tactile senses of hands. So when in contact with an opponent's hands, the reflex becomes totally natural, and one can retaliate accordingly, without thinking. The instinct becomes swift to effectively and directly dispel blows from attackers. Sticking hands is split into 2 stages, either using one hand or both hands.
In sticking hands, when using a single hand like this, I'll use an open hand, just like this. And that's the inner block, and this is the outer. Okay, go. Practicing single sticking hands, it's always done with an open hand, whether block or strike. That's the single, and here it is using 2 hands. So you put your hand here, okay? Like this. See that? Like this. When that's learned, you move on to the rotational skill, the next level. And I press down his hands, then he blocks and we alternate. Just like this.
The wooden dummy is an important piece of equipment during the training of Wing Chun Kun. There are 108 movements. So it's called the 108 moves of the wooden dummy. The wooden dummy is designed to correct the pupil's body position and hand movements, or else to hone the sticking hands techniques, which are seldom encountered when fighting. It's said the wooden dummy was made due to the absence of a partner. The dummy was conceived for practice.
Its emphasis is to work on hand techniques, that as well as teaching good positioning. A while back, we spoke about four objectives, in which the last one is to train positioning. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about attacking or defending, it's just as important. So this aspect is trained by the wooden dummy.
The long pole. It is said that after Shaolin burned, monk Sam Duk escaped onto a troop boat. He passed the long pole to Wang Hua Bo and then Leung Yi Tai.
Usually, the 6.5 pole is it's around 8 feet long. When striking with it, each thrust forward makes one circle by the end of the movement. So then 6 strikes would be 6 circles. The half point consists of 2 different moves. First thrust, then stab. This move has half a circle, hence its name, 6.5 point long pole.
The concept is being an extension of one's arm. Its feature is leaning the body and level stance, emphasizing practicality.
The real use of the 8-strike knife is for your hands to be working to defend you. Because while you're blocking, the elbow's here. And so with the sword, the elbow sort of shifts here at the point of attack when you strike out. And so, all the hand skills get some leverage because of these special positions. Single hand with or without. The knife coordinates with. The other, you see, when this arm moves, the other one moves too. They move accordingly, together.
Sifu Yip Man is a grandmaster of recent times, and he also promoted Wing Chun Kun. He came to Hong Kong in 1949, adding much to Wing Chun Kun. Moving in 1968 to Wing Chun Athletics Association, where many students are trained.
Ever since he set foot here in Hong Kong, he's totally changed the way Wing Chun Kun is taught. Because one person can teach many students simultaneously using his methods. During the 20 years that he spent living in Hong Kong, he taught a lot of famous pupils who went on to make many movies, including Bruce Lee. All the while, he devoted himself to teaching. Although space was limited, every night the place was packed from wall to wall with people. He would practice sticking hands with each one. Everyone had a chance to practice with them. In those days, he was on the chubby side and liked to joke around a lot. He especially liked nicknames, making fun of people.
He used to describe Bruce Lee as extremely diligent, almost to the extent of being a little obsessed. He studied at St. Francis School in Hong Kong, and after school he would strike or kick or do something daring. Well, he was just walking down the street, going home. He just never cared what other people were thinking about him at any time. Well, as far as I am aware, the style that's called the intercepting fist has traces of Wing Chun Kun and Western fencing, using the front hand as the basis of your attacks. So it's lacking Wing Chun Kun's basic style. It's sideways. Soon after Bruce Lee's death, many martial artists claimed that style. And a great deal of films have been made in his name over the years as well. Almost everyone wishes they were Bruce Lee. He amalgamated Chinese Kung Fu, Wing Chun Kung, and street fighting techniques and delighted the audience. In fact, with his influence, Chinese Kung Fu could be as effective as karate and have the ability to kill an opponent with just a single blow. Bruce Lee was one of the very few people who brought Kung Fu legends to an all-new level, but total merit can't be given to him. Once started, it can't be stopped. A punch comes after contact.
It's quick and deadly.
White Crane started back when Master Ah Dat Tor was practicing Kung Fu. He saw a monkey and crane fighting, and so he developed techniques that became White Crane's blueprints. The White Crane was conceived when Master Ah Dat Tor witnessed a white crane fight off a monkey.
This became the basis for the White Crane fist. There are 8 fist principles, methods, punches, and 8 systems of movements, too.
White Crane, quite simply, focuses on form and spirit.
One of the most important aspects is the forearm strike. What matters most is footwork, stance, expressions, and agility. Once a punch is executed, it isn't retracted.
There are 4 main attributes: kill, duck, strike, meet. Kill. In a Kung Fu bout, I really don't want to get injured. I have to strike first, so of the skills, deadliness is most important. Duck. Dodging fast, sidestepping, backstep, forward, ducking in retreat, evading an oncoming force.
This method is used to strike through an opponent's weak spot. It's effective. It's an advancing intercept, which includes hard, soft, and so on.
Among White Crane moves is horse stance, figure 8, nail fist, knockout punch. These are all moves that have to be learnt by students. After that, one proceeds to learn basic opening stances. We place great emphasis on these things. If you pass through these levels, it'll pave the way to master the White Crane fist.
The steps should be wide and parallel to the shoulders, Knees slightly bent, bottom heavy. Hip movements are important. Straight, leaning, or revolving. Good eyesight is key. The skills are lock, prop, cut, pierce, press, swat, block, strike. The forms are snake, needle, sword finger, and then pow, pa, guai, pop. The strikes are ow, ding, hoi.
White crane fist is kind of a hard style. In Chinese boxing, which are the hard styles? Lo Han, Tin Kang, Tin Gang, and Siu Wu styles. The second is the cotton needle set, which is a soft form-sharing, crane ancestry styles.
Amongst white crane fists' hard styles, lock low is key, with elements like kun, block, as well as other crucial parts.
Liu Lo fist was first known as Liu Lo middle hand, and it's comprised of basic forms such as the intensive palm techniques, also the penetrating cut, cannon cut, nail strike, axe hit. The main characteristic of this style is that it combines various techniques, which proves it's a fundamental form.
Lock low fist requires straight shoulders, waist and spine upright. Steps include clockwise, reverse, advance, scurry, trace, kneel, batgua, silk grace. Kicks include piercing, pedaling, fleeing, sweep style, shoveling, nailing, swatting, and double flying kick. The Lo Han fist is powerful. To learn the fist, you must first learn the basics. Only then can a person bring forth its true potential.
It's an advanced type of martial arts skill. Its training method starts, of course, with only the pure basics, augmented with elementary set patterns, gradually progressing to the proper Lo Han. That's because its strikes and step techniques are fast and fierce.
When in white crane combat, no matter what, the body leans, displaying inner excellence, like a body in meditation. You can channel more energy. Here, the main movements, paired with breathing, are crucial to building strength.
The white crane is kind of a standing discipline. Because it enhances circulation through breathing, you will always either be standing on one leg or else on both legs. Sometimes you'll be down in the cat stance. There are techniques which include stretching your hands, turning or lifting them. These movements are particularly good for old people's shoulders.
Every movement of the cotton needle set emphasizes stillness and acquiring the essence of suppleness to fool others, setting the trap of a seemingly soft fighting style.
It really is an advanced type of Kung Fu fist. Well, it's a lot like hiding a needle inside a bunch of cotton. so that people might be misled and get themselves hurt. Usually only one leg is used in balancing. Seldom will both feet leave the ground, so the leg that remains on the ground, this one, merely touches it, and it's the leg raised that you balance with. There's a myriad of weapons, such as the dagger, the straight and twin-edged sword, and the pole. The key characteristic of the Bagua Guan is the expression in your eyes. Horse stance is agile when turning. Techniques are the hook, the block, and also the attack, or fish flipping water and snowflake copping.
In the 1950s, an incident occurred in the martial arts world.
The Chinese philosophy is shown in Tai Chi Kun. It's an art for realizing one's power to the very fullest.
But it's not meant for combat.
In Chinese Kung Fu, each style has its own merits. There are styles that have wide and short stances, plus styles that attack the center, and some with extended movement. All in all, hard stances are signs of power. But there's little mention of Tai Chi. So actually, what is Tai Chi?
There are various tales about the origins of Tai Chi, amongst which our article is based on the legend of Master Chung Sam Feng. One day, while meditating, he watched a fight between the snake and the crane and developed Tai Chi, putting together the movements that they displayed.
Early on, it was called long fist, cotton boxing, soft hands boxing, until a man called Wang Chongnok of Shanxi wrote the Tai Chi manual and formally established Tai Chi. After generations, there emerged Yang, Chan, Xun, and Mo, forming the 5 schools.
Later, Grandmaster Wang Jun-ok put together theory and practice. After this, he named the style Tai Chi Kun. He also wrote the philosophy of Tai Chi Kung.
Tai Chi Kung came recently and has very steadily built up a following. Back in ancient times, when people fought, they primarily used speed to overcome opponents. The slowest loses, and the most force wins. If I use greater force, I'll win. Then over time, you start to discover that even if you've moved faster than I did, I can win with only small movements. Even if you were stronger, I could easily fling you away.
There are 2 main categories of Chinese Kung Fu, Oiga Kun and Loiga Kun. And Tai Chi comes under Loiga Kun. The term Tai Chi Kun originally came from Taoism. It's a very classical expression. To really try and define Tai Chi and Tai Chi Kun, we need to go by the philosophy of Tai Chi as well as Taoism. It's a moving form of yoga and meditation combined, using yin-yang. Yin-yang implies softness and power. What do I mean? The way yin-yang applies here is it relates to the crucial aspect of balance in Kung Fu. The leg which supports us is the real or power leg. The other leg is the false or soft leg. That is the actual difference. What Master Wong's theory does is it promotes the many different styles of Tai Chi that are around today, like how to exert power and to distinguish between power and softness. Even then, he knew quite a lot about the science of dynamic movement, such as using little power for maximum force. In fact, it's all based on the principle of gears.
Someone once compared Tai Chi Chuan to mechanical movements. Our joints are like accelerators. The impact from the attack is transferred from one joint to the next.
He attacks me. This is real force. Okay? All right, now I'll grab him. Go. That was real. Once again.
In reverse, power from within is amplified by the joints. So therefore, the use of one's joints is indispensable to Tai Chi.
The power of the joints comes from the hips, and then progressively it picks up pace. And the strength, which originates from the leg, is then transferred via the hip up to the fingers.
The relationship between strength and power is the fighter having an absolute conviction of will, the transfer of power, and the absence of physical strength.
You advance and I'll counter. Now I'll use only my hips. Here's an upward roll. Now I divert in and push him away. Now down, ward off, using hips. He's down.
You lead your opponent's punch until its power is peaked. When the power is peaked, you push it down. The key is more power with less energy, like this, and down he goes.
Tai Chi Kun is simply the use of strength of the mind and is not about physical power. Tai Chi discourages the use of brute strength to conquer an opponent. So the main idea is to listen very carefully to every movement of your opponent. You look out for his weaknesses. This is the strength of the mind. What this means is you find out his weak spot and hit at the appropriate time. This is the reason why mind power will always prevail over brute strength.
If we do this, while his stance is firm, I have 4 contact points where my body is in contact with his body, like up here. So then I must detect his weakest point. Now, I kick here, like this, and then I pull in, and then I push my head. Strength should be used at these 3 points, and then you need to rotate the shoulder just like this. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. The movements are circles. The energy continues where the strength ends, though every point can be the beginning. It can also be the end, like in an endless cycle. After the first move, it won't stop before the second. There are no single movements. There are weak spots, and there are ways to overcome them. When he punches, I would never block his punch directly. I'll roll with his punch. And again, when he throws a punch at me, I divert the energy, pushing it away. Okay, and there's more. Now punch again. So you press down like this, followed by the leg move. I'm not using my arm strength to push. And go again, just like this. At this point, he's off balance. And with a leg sweep, he'll fall easily. Like that.
Tai Chi seems like a softer Kung Fu, with no beginning or end in its movements. Its advance and retreat moves unendingly, just like water. And in its forms are the 8 movements and 5 steps. These 13 forms are Tai Chi Chuan's key elements.
The 8 movements and these 5 steps separate into external and internal categories. Well, the 8 moves are the basic for a technique called pushing hands. Ward off press, roll back, push down are some of the internal 8 energies.
To use these movements, you must first train yourself to comprehend the different forces used against you and how to control and then subdue the person. You don't use your ears for this, but your body to feel every move that your opponent is making against you. This is quite a difficult concept to grasp because of this. To be good at Tai Chi, one needs to have more than 10 years training.
When we practice the 108 movements, we must remember to have our tongue against the roof of the mouth, breathing naturally. Your shoulders should be relaxed. Crouch slightly with your back pushed out. These are all important mnemonics.
Tai Chi uses the 8 movements and 5 steps to form the 108 movements. To bring maximum power into play, pushing hands must be practiced to subdue the enemy.
Pushing hands is actual Tai Chi in action because the Tai Chi fist has bodies applied here. When engaged in this exercise, we must try to feel the sensitivity of our opponent's energy through his movements. So when we practice with our partner, when I touch him, I feel his subtle movements and respond.
In pushing hands, one knows where to yield, using softness against force, using their strength, responding with all angles in mind, relent to pressure with no resistance, feeling the opponent through your body in order to ascertain force, direction, position, responding quickly if the attacker uses force, diverting with softness. My speed will vary with the opponent's speed, following his moves and responding.
There are different forms for pushing hands in Tai Chi. There's a single-handed and then there's with both hands. There are over 10 distinct forms. The steps here look similar to jogging, back and forth. This one is, it's called Fu Yung, pushing hands. In addition to practicing all of the set forms, there's also free sparring pushing hands. Tai Chi has 6 different stages, which are the following: form, stance, will, chi, power, and spirit. So we start off by practicing form. After that, we move on to position and posture. then on to will, then qi, power, and finally spirit. Therefore, one must be very familiar with the form before doing power and spirit.
Weapons in a battle are mighty accessories. One can win only with speed and good technique. Tai Chi has a wide range of weapons. When performing, how does a person make use of them? In use, the Tai Chi knife is relatively a firm weapon. The main emphasis is on hip power, bringing together all of the elements of Tai Chi.
It primarily emphasizes split, ward, and intercept. Much of the time, the knife is moving over one's head and back, and the power is transferred from the hips. It's a very straightforward weapon. Despite this, it's quite unyielding. So during its use, a certain fierceness has to be exercised over the knife. For bringing it into full play, hip movements are very important. Like that. The knife must go, over one's back. Like that. Then out. You see? As you can see, these come from the hips. Every move involves using the hips for power. When I turn like this, I add power. It's the center of every move. Tai Chi sword uses softer and more supple movements. Being more agile, it requires focused positioning. It also requires leaping and hopping techniques, which are crucial. And it's important that you have a good wrist action. The combined movements of both hands helps create synergy.
The Tai Chi sword requires extremely soft techniques. It's not for attack and focuses on using the wrist and light steps. It expresses great power through suppleness.
As the sword is agile, the wrist rotations are extremely important. It doesn't involve any big movements. Both of the hands work in unison in order to create a gearing effect that maximizes power. The sword is the king of close-range weapons. Its method of use includes the probe, as well as a double block. It can also be used in order to break off the opponent's sword. At very close range, the hilt of the sword can be used to strike the opponent's head with great force. The straight sword confuses the opponent. An iron ring can also be fastened, and this can be utilized in an attack. There are many ways to use the sword. Well, even though it's effective and it must be used with the correct steps, when moving into an intricate position, if he attacks me now, you'll see that I don't force it. Now again, you can see that the strike comes from the rotation, based on the lever principle. In 1967, there was a TV program about Tai Chi Gong. The show was hosted by Master Guangyi. In the very last episode, he fully demonstrated the pushing hands technique, and he asked his master pupil to participate in the show, and hit him in the back at any point he wanted. In rehearsal, the pupil punched at the back of his head, right here. Master turned and threw him off the face of the earth. It was very impressive. At the actual performance, he asked the same pupil not to strike him on the same place on his head, so as to generate more realism. He preferred it to be actual reflexes. So then the pupil hits at a place on his back, just like before. In one single movement, the master pupil was thrown out of the camera's view.
In Tai Chi, one person, World Martial Arts Champion Master Li Fai, stands out more than most. In her time, she learned from great masters. She herself endeavored to perfect her Tai Chi, taking her own attainments to a higher goal. She has contributed much to martial arts.
Actually, I remember when I was a child, I used to enjoy doing martial arts movements in kindergarten. When I competed in Kuei Lin and managed to get second, runner-up, I couldn't think of anything in the world that would make me happier. It was great. I can still recall having my first brush with Tai Chi in '96. I had just given birth and because I'd practiced martial arts for years, my joints underwent changes. So I started thinking of taking up something to keep fit. Some friends also recommended that I try Tai Chi, which balances health. It sounded perfect for me. That's when I started Tai Chi. The gist of it is that internally one needs to be calm and composed, and a very relaxed body is also required externally, keeping one's centre comfortable and stretching naturally. Movements should be sort of implicit and shouldn't be exaggerated, but smooth flowing. This uses Tai Chi's axiom for all martial skills. The motion must be in harmony and in conjunction with your inner self. This is the reason solo movements are in circles. The process of long fist style Tai Chi for me has been most beneficial and quite helpful. Hence, I have a desire to share this valuable knowledge with people. As a matter of fact, in medical journals, there are many testimonials attesting to Tai Chi's benefits. So then, whatever a person's age or profession, it really helps to ward off pains in problem joints. Therefore, I hope that knowing this, I can help a lot of people.
To help attain the highest possible level of martial arts, Tai Chi Grandmaster Zheng Sang-feng laid down his motto over 600 years ago. For being chivalrous or to prolong one's life, it isn't necessary for your ability to be extreme. So in plain language, he means don't be too aggressive. You don't need to be the greatest. You should just enhance Tai Chi's spirit by humility.
The question is, in Kung Fu, which style is above all of the others? What should our aim and approach be? I sincerely hope that each and every style will seek its own way.